Over the years, a number of outstanding tennis players have called St. Louis home. The names include Arthur Ashe, Carol Hanks Ocamp, Butch Buchholz, Jimmy Connors, Chuck McKinley, Ken Flack, and the woman we are honoring tonight, Ann Beattie. Ann was an all-around athlete who grew up in Ladue. She graduated from Washington University, where she excelled in golf. Yes, I said golf. In the 60s, the only indoor tennis courts were in the old Armory, where she would play all winter against the best St. Louis players. She reached the finals of the 1967 Women's Doubles U.S. National Championships at Forest Hills, but lost to a team led by Billie Jean King. The next year, she teamed with Peter Curtis and won the U.S. Open mixed doubles title in straight sets. She kept on winning. The singles title of the Surrey Grass Court Championships, the doubles title in the 71 British Hardcourt Championships. In 1968 and 70, she played for the United States Federation Cup team, reaching the semifinals of the World Group on both occasions. In 1974, she was a member of the Detroit Loves in the inaugural season of the World Team Tennis League. One of Ann's proudest moments was the 1967 win over Billie Jean King in the New England Invitational. In the annals of St. Louis tennis greats, Ann Beattie is right there, and tonight we're proud to induct her into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
I just want to say that before I get to my first question, I did a little research to prepare for this and was going through the newspaper archives, and I found out that tennis was not the first sport that Ann excelled at. When she was 10 years old, she played for the Berkeley Aces of the Municipal Baseball Association, and she was the first girl pitcher in the 44-year history of that organization. On one occasion, she pitched both ends of a doubleheader. She won the first game and lost the second game 1-0. And she was fearless on the base paths. In one game, she was thrown out at home trying to score from third on a pass ball. But later in the game, she stole home. So I wanted to ask you, I have to mention that a year later, on her second year when she was batting .400, the Baseball Association decided that it would be boys only from that point on. And was that then the impetus for you to go full bore into tennis?
Well, I'd never played tennis before, and my parents had never played tennis. And I think they didn't know what to do with me, so they put me into a local high school tennis camp from 9 to 12. So that's how I started playing tennis, and at the end of the season, they have a tournament, and I won the tournament. And then someone said, well, you should play in the St. Louis District Tournament. And then if you do well in the district tournament, then you play in the Missouri Valley Tournament, and then you qualify for the Nationals, and it takes off from there.
Well, you came along and started playing tennis in the late 50s, early 60s, which was truly the golden age of tennis in St. Louis, with so many good players, as Ron Jacober mentioned, from Butch Buchholz to Wimbledon champion Chuck McKinley to Jimmy Parker, Carol Hanks, Justina Bricka, and Jimmy Connors. And even Arthur Ashe moved to St. Louis for his senior year at Sumner so that he could be here and play against the great competition in St. Louis. What effect did being in that kind of pool of talent do for your game?
Well, they set a very high standard. They were all great, and they were all nice people. I was a little bit younger than like Chuck and Butch. I played with Cliff Buchholz, Butch's brother, who was very good. I played a lot with Carol Hanks and Carol Ocamp and Justina Bricka. And we all played down in the wintertime at the old Armory on Market Street. So we were all very good friends. We were spread out a little bit in the summertime, being played at different courts and different clubs. But because we were all together all the time, all winter, we were all very good friends, and always great competition.
Mm-hmm. During your career, you played 9 times at Wimbledon, starting at age 17, and you compiled a 16-9 record there. And when you were 20, you reached the quarterfinals at Wimbledon by defeating a future Hall of Famer, Nancy Ritchie. Why was Wimbledon so special to you?
I think growing up, when you're young, Wimbledon is the ultimate tournament. That and the U.S. Open. But if you ever go to have the opportunity to go to Wimbledon, you arrive there, as a player, you call for transportation, they send a Bentley car to pick you up, and when you're 17, that's pretty amazing. It's amazing at any age. But you drive through the gates, and you see this big ivy-covered stadium, and it's just the ultimate. It's a dream come true, really is. The atmosphere at Wimbledon is just special.
At some point in your career, you obviously took up golf or started to transition into golf later in your career. And it must not have been that difficult for you because you won district championships in golf, you won a couple of Missouri State senior titles, you qualified twice for the U.S. Senior Women's Amateur. When exactly did you start getting into golf, and how did you accomplish so much after devoting much of your career to tennis?
Well, I didn't start playing golf until I got married. My husband played a lot of golf and played tennis, but I really didn't start playing until my two daughters were in grade school. And then I had a lot of time on my hands during the day. And I think the competitive part of golf was just so much fun, and you're always playing against yourself in the course. I mean, you're playing against opponents sometimes, but it's always kind of a battle against yourself. And it's just a game that I got hooked on, and I still love it, and I still play a lot to this day.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you look back, whether it's tennis or golf, is there any one victory or accomplishment that you're most proud of?
Well, possibly when I was 17, I won the USLTA at that time, the juniors. So I was ranked number 1 in the 18 and under. And that's something I'll always look back. Whenever you're number 1 at anything, it's very special. I grew up at a really fun time in tennis because we were all very good friends. It's before the big money came into the game and changed the game a lot. We were kind of like a traveling sorority, all the players. We had fun together. We'd play and then go have dinner together. And it was really just a special time in tennis. Now, of course, like I said, money changed that, and it's a different atmosphere. They now have trainers and coaches and head coaches and people traveling with them. We didn't travel like that. Mm-hmm. We were just amongst ourselves. Occasionally a player would have a coach travel with them, but not often. I would like to add, too, I was very fortunate. I had a very special tennis coach. And I don't know if we were going to talk about that or not, but his name was Bill Price. Bill Price coached many of the players that came out of St. Louis, mainly Chuck McKinley, Carol Allcamp, Justina Bricka, not the Buckholz boys and not Jimmy Connors. But he coached a lot of other junior players that went on to go to school and play college tennis and got scholarships. Bill never charged one of his students a penny. He only coached as a hobby. And he would come watch us play. He never got on the court with us. We'd come off the court after playing, and he'd tell us 2 or 3 things, but you retained those 2 or 3 things. And we all hit the ball differently. He didn't train you to take it back, your racket back a certain way or anything. But so many of the players that came out of St. Louis really owe Bill everything. He was a great, wonderful person.
Well, you and I are pretty close in age, and when I was growing up in St. Louis, then Mary Ann Eisel was one of the biggest names, and it's really been a pleasure to be able to come here and be with you as you're inducted. So, big round of applause for Mary Ann, please.
Well, thank you.
Thank you there.
Ron, thank you. I don't know if you all know what an accomplished writer Ron was for the Post and as an author of many tennis books, and also a good tennis player.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Thank you
very
Ron.
much.
Thank you.